From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening on Evenings at LALATE as a deal is hatched, or is it not hatched, in the fourth stimulus check of 2021 today. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today, I report that much of nothing has changed, but the path and the bills and the bill names have changed. The path for fourth stimulus is still on board. We're going over those monthly stimulus checks those Democrats want you to have, both the House and the Senate. We'll be going over the breaking news, what happened with the White House and why it's very convoluted and how I'll make it simple for you to follow. And how fourth stimulus is still heading to the finish line. Then we cut to fifth stimulus that heats up this fall. A lot of money across the board, and the great comments from Jay Powell, breaking news, of course, as well, that lifts your benefits and also gives you a fifth stimulus check. And then we cut to the big money, thousands of dollars that viewers are getting across the board. It's a big day as viewers continue to get thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. What a big evening's broadcast this is. The first broadcast of this channel since the major announcement this morning. And I have all the breaking details for you on this evening's LALATE. It's Thursday evening. How's the weather where you are? It was getting muggy and hot, and then the camera locked up, and everything was going beautiful earlier today. But finally, it's nice and cool and easy breezy here. The nice onshore breeze coming here in Santa Monica this Thursday afternoon. Congratulations, you made it to the weekend practically. How's the weather where you are? Jump in the live chat right now and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we go over how much those Democrats want you to have as a stimulus check, how that has not changed as of today's events, but why the path of the fourth stimulus is slightly different. Very fascinating developments across the board. Then we cut to fifth stimulus that raise your benefits across the board, a lifetime, and why Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, his comments are incredible, great news. Then we cut to the big money. Viewers are just killing it. Thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that individual viewers are getting. I'll go over how you can get that big money in this recording. And this is LALATE, the only 24-hour day. 7 days a week, financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, like when I was live, breaking you to the details about the hatched deal or non-deal from the president. And then taped in the afternoons, like this broadcast. This is the first taped show since that major announcement earlier today. But this will be the most comprehensive recording because I'm going over all the details with new graphics for you to digest it and understand it. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Subscribe right now. Next up, 1 million. And thank you for the last few days of being our biggest days of subscriber growth. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. Every like delivers $12 ice cream. Or maybe it shouldn't. And consider becoming a member. Let's get right into the breaking news and the great details across the board. There is still, and in fact, still very actually stronger paths for those fourth stimulus checks, both a House bill and a Senate proposal. Let's compare and contrast them across the board and understand how they work. The House bill from Jalopal provides a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. The senators would provide a stimulus check from July to December. Then the House bill would provide $1,000 a month after the first month of 2000. The senators would provide a stimulus check for a monthly amount unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Yes, $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000, and they can still do it in July. $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. That is deliciousness. And it's so savory as well. Let's go back to something you need to know, which is this thing. The pandemic plus 1 year. Well, the House may contend that the pandemic is over for legislative purposes, which may reduce Jalopal's House bill to just 12 months of checks. That would be $13,000. How does that compare to the Senate plan? Get ready to vote if you're in the live chat just after 5 o'clock. Here we go. Senators over 6 months. OMG, I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate, tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. House or Senate, I want to see you voted right now. All right, let's go over everything you need to know. The Democrats would still be giving you a fourth stimulus check. Who would get it? The Same people who got a third stimulus check. Single individuals, $75,000 or less, Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check. Married couples, $150,000 or less, Democrats would still be giving you a fourth stimulus check, double it. Beneficiaries, you would be getting a fourth stimulus check still from those Democrats. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits. And finally, a family of four, you would be getting fourth stimulus checks still from the Democrats. Just quadruple it. And there you go. The fourth stimulus checks are not income, so they are not taxable. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. It comes in monthly basis. It's not a waivable check. So if you see the check at the discotheque tonight going into your Thursday night dance hall grooves, don't turn to the check and say, "Hey, check, is that the dirty chicken dance you're doing?" Rude check. You can't even do the dance right. What do you think this is? Should have tried the Vogue. You were better with that last night. So there you go. That is the check that can't dance and can't wave to you. There you go. That is your fourth stimulus check. First update of this 3 parts in this recording. The Democrats would be giving a fourth stimulus check in the month of July for the month of July, and they still can. In the month of August for the month of August, and they still can. And they represent the vote would be done by July 4th. But is it going to be done by July 4th? Let's see that shortly in the second half of this for the 3-part update on your fourth stimulus check coming up in this video. But here's a preview, the second half of this video. It's fifth stimulus, and fifth stimulus heats up this fall. Fifth stimulus is really incredible, and fifth stimulus has a raise up of your benefits a lifetime. And also, it gives you another stimulus check. Here's a comment. One viewer said, "Why are we talking about fifth stimulus now?" Because people on benefits need to know when their benefit relief is going to get taken care of. And that is a big issue for my beneficiaries. So I want to ensure they know their benefits are going to get taken care of. That's why we're talking about fifth stimulus right now. But first, let's get some money. If you're new to this channel, that's what we do in this channel. We're cashing checks, not tracking checks. On a day like this is the day you want to be cashing checks. I want to really congratulate you. If you watched yesterday's afternoon's LALATE and evening's LALATE, we had 2 viewers get over $10,000 an individual for rent. The week before, we had one individual get $5,000 for SNAP. The week before that, $7,000 for SNAP. Viewers are absolutely doing wonders. That's what this channel does. In spring of last year, I got viewers $25 million of EIDL alone to save their businesses, their homes, and their employees' homes as the pandemic was ravaging. And then in fall of 2020, it was much like now. Second stimulus was not getting passed, and I said, you need money for rent, and I got people for rent. $250,000. I got Tyrone $15,000 for their family of 4 in Boston. So get a pen and paper ready. And if it must be a Crayola crown, then understand I'm wearing your Crayola blue tonight. So we are one in the same. I'm going to get you a lot of money in this video, so stay to the very end and get that pen and paper ready. We're first going to start with rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also the exciting details about mortgage utilities, homeowners utilities as well. Each place has different eligibility, so if one says no, reach out to the next. The rent is a lot. I've been saying $5,000 approximately, 4 to 6 months of rent, but yesterday someone got $12,000. The day before, someone else got $10,000. So you are just doing a great job. And if you're in the live chat right now, jump in and say what you've gotten, and whether it's $100 or $100 or $1,000. It inspires me and inspires everyone else. All right, where are you going to get that money? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't say words that they don't know, like stimulus or Nancy's fan club. She has one. I did not know that. You gotta. Well, you gotta say words they know. And there you go. $5,000 for rent. The next pot of money, one viewer got $5,000 for this last week. The week before, some viewer got 6 to 7. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. And Gail got it. What is it? It's SNAP. It's wonderful. SNAP is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Reach out to Department of Agriculture. How much is it paying? A fortune. A family of 4 is now getting upwards of $16,000 a year in Hawaii. Wow. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump that raised all your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. And congratulations to Norm, who got money for 2 items covered in this video in just the last few days. Congratulations. But you're killing it. All the viewers are killing it. $15,000 for Snap for Family 4 in Hawaii. $5,000 for rent. You're killing it. The check on the dance floor, not really killing it. Now let's cut to our next big pot of money. And it's money coming back from your states. One viewer got $5,000 from this. Where is this and what is it? It's the wonderful money coming back from your states due to the computer error. Not your computer, their computer. So the federal government has identified states as owing you money back, and that money's coming back. So where is it coming? To the account you have on file. When is it coming? Well, it's coming in the next few weeks. If you want to find out the routing times, reach out to your state. And when you do, reach out to them and say, I'm calling to see about that check that was due to your computer error. Can you track it for me with a computer that actually works? And there you go. And finally, the last pot of money is wonderful. It's coming from IRS. If you got this money, jump on the live chat. It inspires everyone else. It also tells the viewers that they're getting the money. It's the money coming back for the tax refund on IRS. Cod got it, Margaret got it, Michael got it. How much money is it? Let's go over the details. First, let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of total taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes refunded back to you. You're getting back $4,000. When or where? Where is on direct deposit? That was on your 2020 tax return, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah, you can about 70% of the time. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password, and do a transcript search. You'll be shocked what it will reveal 70% of the time it'll work. It will reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid, what really is the name of that hair color that Nancy's using. It'll tell you how to spell muddled blue, because we're having a debate about how you spell muddled blue. It's not murdered blue, it's muddled blue. And then it'll show you the refund check you're getting back from IRS. Is there anything more wonderful than that? It is, as we go over the breaking news from the White House about your fourth stimulus starting right now. Programming note, it was that on Morning's Crypto, I first broke the news of the president announcing a deal, even though it was really not a deal. And then on Noontime at LALATE, or home, I went live on camera. But it was a rushed recording where the announcement was just coming out. I didn't have graphics, and I also lost the camera. So you could hear me, but you couldn't see me. So this is, and then Afternoons at LALATE was taped before the announcement. So this is the first really big comprehensive recording. I can go through all the details with you, slowly with graphics, to make sure that you understand what's going on. So what's important to note is that today the president came out and said, I have a deal. And he sort of had his hands out like he was someone in the Bible. But he didn't have a deal. So what was he doing? He was grandstanding. So what's going on? What happened today did not impact your fourth stimulus checks at all, with the exception of one potential item, that maybe they would come a little bit later in July. They can still come in July. What's important, however, is that the place where the checks would be is not changed, and the path in which they're voted upon is inverted, but still substantively the same. So let's go over what happened today. What happened today is the president made an announcement, and the announcement came after a meeting yesterday. I think the meeting is perhaps more important than the announcement. The meeting yesterday was from Schumer and Pelosi, and Schumer had polled his Democratic members and had learned from them that he couldn't do certain things. The issue was the following. Everything was initially going into recon, just recon, which you understand reconciliation is both a procedural reconciliation bill and a substantive reconciliation bill. Everything was going into recon. That wasn't working for his Democratic senators. Some senators wanted some items to go into a bipartisan agreement, and other senators said, I'm not going to agree to just a bipartisan agreement. It's too small. So what did they do? They decided to split part of the recon into two places, recon and bipartisan. So the agreement today was that the recon will have some of the parts that would have been in the reconciliation taken out of and put into the bipartisan agreement. I'm going to refer to the two paths going forward as the reconciliation, which I've always referred to as both the procedural reconciliation bill, and the substantive reconciliation bill. And then I'm going to refer to the bipartisan agreement as what was all these chatter of these negotiations on the sidelines in recent weeks. That's what I'm going to refer to the bipartisan agreement. You may also refer to the bipartisan agreement as the infrastructure. Why? Let me explain why. Let me show you what's actually in the bipartisan agreement. The bipartisan agreement will be literally roads and bridges. What will be in the reconciliation? Everything else that we have been talking about for stimulus, like checks, climate, CARES economy, progressive policies, everything that's progressive, everything that GOP doesn't want, everything the White House wants, everything that Jalopal wants is in recon. Everything that the GOP wants is in the bipartisan. And there you go, split. So there's two paths. There's two paths, but it's also considered basically two forms of legislation. Notice I use the word legislation because it's actually, yes, three bills. It's the recon procedural bill, the reconciliation substantive bill, and the bipartisan bill. For purposes of simplicity, let's just call it the reconciliation and the bipartisanship. So for purposes of the analysis on this channel, nothing has changed today because your checks were never going to be in anything from GOP and were never going to be in anything from bipartisanship. They were always going to be in reconciliation, and they're still in reconciliation. So what was changed today? What was changed was the non-progressive policies. What was changed today was non-progressive policies were put into a bipartisan agreement, leaving the what would you would say, the more progressive ideologies, stimulus checks, climate, CARES economy, in recon where they were. So any change for you and me? Not really. Now, there is some voting processes that are slightly different. That we were talking on this channel about the 9 steps starting at the House, going to the Senate. You're going to see later in this recording, I'm going to show you that we're going from Senate to House. A little weird, not particularly anything different. Is there anything that would derail us getting checks in July? No, because they intend to pass this in July, whether it's by July 4th, which was Schumer's promise and Pelosi's promise in writing verbally 1,000 times, or slightly after July 4th. But there's still time to get checks in the month of July, for the month of July and in the month of August. So no change there. So what was the big development? The big development was really the taking out parts going over there. Now, could something still go wrong? There is still the possibility for splintering of the vote, and that potentially some Democrats may not like separating the bills. But so far, we're not seeing totally that. I'm going to go over all those details for you in a second. But how did we get to this point? We got to this point when Schumer said, we're going to finish by recon, and we're going to finish by recon by July 4th, and we're going to finish recon with a passage. That has always been Chuck's comments, and it was comments today as well. He did have a comment as to recon. When asked when is the recon vote going to be, he said as soon as possible. So you can take that as he's keeping his promise by July 4th, or maybe it's July 7th, July 8th, July 9th, July 10th, not particularly clear. But how did we get to that point? When Jalopal, who's in the House, wrote Schumer a letter saying, Schumer, call the vote on the recon. What are we waiting for? Well, he now says we're calling the vote as soon as possible on the recon. That letter from Jalopal was signed by 10 House Democrats. Those 10 House Democrats are among the 100-plus House Democrats who had written the president a letter a week earlier saying, Mr. President, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the 4th stimulus package. And they still can, because that's the recon part of the two-path. Can we get better than that? We can. As 12 House Democrats wrote the president, 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter about 7 days ago saying, Mr. President, when we write the 4th stimulus package, we're going to be putting 4 stimulus checks into the 4th stimulus package. Is that changed today? No, because they're on the House Ways and Means Committee that's dominated by Democrats that are in the House. And they have always said that they were going to put it in the recon bill, not in something else, and they can still do it. They wrote your first stimulus check. They wrote your second stimulus check. They wrote your third stimulus check, which also went by reconciliation. And now they say they're currently writing your 4th stimulus check that is also going by recon. Does it get better than that? Yes. They also say they're writing your 5th stimulus check that's going by recon this fall as well. No change there either. And then can we get better than that? We can. As the president made it easier to pass the recon part of this legislation about 2 weeks ago, when he went overseas and got an international agreement which anchors forced stimulus recon to the edge of the finish line by making it easier for legislators to pass it because provisions about international taxes are no longer needed. What did he do? The president said that he was worried about the recon part of this bill being passed because he was raising the corporate tax rate. It's still being paid for by raising the corporate tax rate, the recon part of the bill. And so the president had an idea. He said, if I raise the corporate tax rate, corporations may move overseas. So let me reach out to those countries overseas. And he did. And they tentatively said, yes, we'll raise the corporate tax rate. To which he reached out to his staff and said, I like how this is going. In December, let's take that caramel popcorn that Joe really likes and take it overseas and give it to them and get them to sign on the dotted line. And if they do, then we can remove the provisions for forced stimulus. Well, that's the big surprise because 2 weeks ago, the president did it. Biden did it. He went overseas and got those countries to sign on the dotted line now. Not after forced stimulus, but now, before the recon goes to a final vote. Making it easier to pass the forced stimulus recon now because the provisions are in the international agreement and no longer needed in that recon for Democrats to pass. Wow, can we get better than that? We can. With those comments by Jalapal, and I really want to, it's fascinating how sometimes you read a comment and you say, okay, now a week later, this comment's a lot more important than it was when I first read it. Remember those comments by Jalapal and Schatz that I've been reading to you since last Friday. They're now even more important today. And they also explain the significance of where we are today. Jalapal said and Schatz said in those comments that the president has progressive policies in the forced stimulus recon that he's willing to go to the mat for and veto unless he gets them passed. Well, the president was not getting GOP support. So what did he do? He pushed the GOP's part into that bipartisan agreement. Let's go back to the graphic. He passed them into the bipartisan agreement. And he kept his progressive policies like climate, like the CARES economy, and, of course, your checks in the recon part. And that's exactly what the exchange between Jalapal, Schatz, and the president in that Friday quote last Friday said. That basically, Jalapal said to the president, we got your two progressive policies protected. The president has two progressive policies that he says adamant that has to be in the recon. They are climate and the CARES economy. He still has them in there. Second, he said, I have your back, Jalapal, for your progressive policies in there. And her progressive policies in the recon are the stimulus checks she represents. So there you go. Wow. Same thing, just a little bit now separated and cleaner across the board. Can we get better than that? We can, with the third part of your forced stimulus check update of 2021 coming up after this video, after this break. But also, the wonderful news about fifth stimulus, as your benefits will be raised up and will also have a fifth stimulus check. But we can get better than that? We can with the volunteers. The volunteers heat up this fall, and they heat up now, and they heat up every day. Volunteers heat up on the community page. Reach out to the volunteers by finding them by opening the description. Go down the description, and you'll see the community page. It'll have an emoji of a house, and there it'll say the community page. Click it and it goes over to a page with a picture of kitty cats. They're not your volunteers, they're just kitty cats. Reach out to the volunteers. Now, they cannot help you with making $12 ice cream because it'll taste the same as $1 ice cream. They cannot help you find the surf shop where that check waves or doesn't wave back at you. But they can get you rent, utilities, internet, and also help you with SNAP. And here are a little bit about the volunteers. I'll be back in 60 seconds with the big exciting details of what's next on the voting process in this forced stimulus package. You're hearing for the first time in this supersized Evenings LA broadcast. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals. Reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Evenings LALATE. It's a big night as fourth stimulus heats up and also fifth stimulus. And I have all the incredible details in a supersized evenings broadcast tonight from Santa Monica. Thank you for joining me. Boy, in the second half of this video, we'll be going over the voting process, which will now be inverted as we got confirmation from Chuck Schumer. Really fascinating and a little confusing, but I'm gonna make it easy for you. And then we cut to fifth stimulus as well. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Thank you for really joining us, subscribers, this week. Several days of our biggest growth in several months. Also, like this video. Every like helps in the algorithm rankings and also delivers you matching slippers. I don't know. That's what I heard. And consider becoming a member. I don't know where I get this stuff. And consider becoming a member. Stay with this video. Right after this video, you'll go automatically into Overnight's Crypto right after this broadcast is over. No less than 7 seconds. You don't have to do anything. Just lift your hands and act like you're in Congress and do nothing. All right. Let's get right to fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus has some wonderful news. Fifth stimulus, I'm going to go over the check, the infusion of cash, and then the great news from Jay Powell. First, let's start with Jay Powell. Jay Powell said this week that by January 2022, he will then lift his Fed stimulus. What was his messaging? The same he said since last year. That this economy needs some stimulus and that the Fed will not end its stimulus of the economy until January 2022. The same coverage I've had for over a year from this Federal Reserve chair. This is great news because it basically says we need fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. The day started with the jobless claims number released on Wall Street, and the number was bad. It showed the number going up again, meaning jobless claims grew again. New jobless claims, not old people, old jobless claims renewed. These are new jobless claims. Great news for passing fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. Now, fifth stimulus, will there be a fifth stimulus check? Yes, those Democrats in the House represent, they will be writing a fifth stimulus check. That would be for January 2022. It would go for a vote by about November, December, and we'll start legislating drafts in like September, October. Second, the president has dedicated $1 billion to the Social Security Administration to ensure you get checks going forward on time after that debacle about third stimulus early this year. So fourth stimulus, fifth stimulus checks, and all your benefits would land on time. Finally, the great news from Jay Powell. He basically solidified one of the three concerns we had about that SSI reform. What were the three concerns? One, that they get this bill done in the fall. Number two, that the inflation rate reaches its highest point in November, December. And number three, that the inflation rate is a relatively high number. Well, Jay Powell said it will reach its height in November, December. Wow, this is wonderful news. So let's go over how this works and how this calculates out. Jay Powell basically said that in December, the number of the inflation rate will reach its highest level because everything will be on fire around that time. First, he said that jobless claims will drop, reemployment will be at its best level, business growth will be at its best level, and GDP will be at its highest level as well, along with inflation at its hottest number. They're first going to raise your benefit limits, then they're going to remove the asset limit, then they're going to apply the inflationary benchmark, and then they'll remove the income penalty and the marriage penalty, even though that's not the graphic for it. There's a graphic for it somewhere. There it is. Remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this calculates. based upon Jay Powell's great comments. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. This is if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, survivor benefits, SSA, multiple benefits, or calcino benefits. Comes in a herd. And then they'll apply the benchmark. That benchmark, you understand, is in December. And you understand that benchmark steps up your benefits for next year. And you understand the benchmark is inflation. And you understand that inflation is going to be high. Well, let's go through how this works. Let's say it's 10%, for example. And then it reaches that peak around November, December, coming up from where it is right now, as Jay Powell confirmed. So it would raise up your benefits 10%, but not just next year, lifetime. Because the way that this works is it only steps up your benefits or stays the same. And even though then inflation may step down next year, your benefits will always be at that plus 10% rate, if that's the number. Wow, that is wonderful news. Then they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have some room for stimulus checks in your hand and some Crayola crowns. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to work if you want and also stay on benefits. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest and not fear loss of benefits. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to marry and no longer fear loss of benefits. And there you go. Now, if you saw earlier in this recording, those viewers getting $5,000, $10,000 for rent, 2 viewers getting $10,000 and $12,000 for rent this week, the last 2 weeks of you getting $5,000 to $7,000 for SNAP. How are they doing it? They're becoming a member. Membership links are on the top of the channel, the pinned comment. Members daily are delivered from me a breakdown of all the money in third, fourth, and fifth stimulus for them. Third stimulus is law. And there's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that you can get for third stimulus. On this channel, we're not tracking checks. We're not looking at what day of the month of that week we're getting a stimulus check. We're getting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 from third stimulus that's there for you. Most of it's application-based, so consider becoming a member so you learn about all those details. All right, here we go. Back to the final and big breaking details about your fourth stimulus check of 2021 in this recording. In the third part, we're going to be going over routing times, calling the vote, fake narratives, and finally, purple power push. All real brand new stuff for this evening because there is so many twists and turns. First, let's go over the voting process. This is really quite surprising because you've seen over the last few days where I've told you about the 9 voting steps for the recon. Is that different? It's not different. It's going to be inverted. But here's what's really peculiar about it. And some of the things I don't think they know yet either. So I think they're sort of working these things through. I've always told you that when we're looking at the 9 voting steps, steps 1 to 4 are the procedural recon vote, and then steps 5 to 9 are the substantive recon vote. I'm only talking at this voting process step at this point about the reconciliation bill. I'm not talking about the infrastructure bill because it doesn't really concern us or concern you. No one here is concerned about a road or bridge. I'm talking about the reconciliation bill and its voting process. So we'd always seen under first, second, and third stimulus bills starting in the House and then going to the Senate and then going to the President. Pretty easy. Well, what Chuck Schumer, the press secretary for the White House, and Nancy Pelosi all confirmed today, that the recon would go the reverse direction. It would start in the Senate and then go to the House. Now, what does this mean for us? Let's go over how this would work for voting process. And this is the first time you're hearing the process inverted. Step 1 is the House would vote on the procedural bill. Excuse me, I just did it wrong. Step 1, the Senate would vote on the procedural bill. Step 2, the House would vote on the procedural bill. Step 3, the president would sign the procedural bill. At that point, the procedural bill of recon has passed over the finish line. All right, now time to go do the substantive bill. Step 4, the Senate would do the substantive bill. Now, surely it is not clear as we sit here this evening if it would start in a Senate subcommittee, but presumably it's just going to start on the Senate floor. It's not quite clear from Schumer and Pelosi where the Senate is going to get a draft of anything to vote on in the recon. Usually you come out of subcommittee to the floor. So potentially step 4 could be Senate recon, could be Senate subcommittee up to Senate floor, which is step 5. And then over to step 6, which is House, and then off to the President, which is step 7. Here's what you need to know, is that you're clearly probably listening for 2 words, vote-a-rama. Well, is that 3 words? I don't know. 2 words or 3 words. You're probably hearing vote-a-rama. Very unclear where they intend to do the vote-a-rama. Senate, House, back to Senate for vote-a-rama. And also, it's very unclear which subcommittee would be taking the lead. We had always been told the House subcommittees are taking the lead, but that the Senate committee subcommittees are part of the interaction. Let me recap that as well for you. Over the last year and a half, when all these stimulus packages were done, they always started the House subcommittees. And so those House subcommittees would be tasked their individual subject matter. And House Ways and Means does stimulus checks. They wrote the letter. So they do stimulus checks, they do FPC. Another department does education, another department does labor. They write those 10 to 100 pages that they have to write to approximately. They called for a vote in that House subcommittee. Then when all the House subcommittees are done, they combine it together as one bill, and they give it to Nancy, or Nancy combines as one bill, and Nancy puts it to the floor of the House a vote. So where is the Senate going to get the actual bill for recon to vote upon? From the House subcommittees or from the Senate subcommittees? It has to be a Senate bill, but who's going to actually write it up? I mean, they could, so it's not particularly clear. It presumably would come out of the Senate subcommittees, but still with the House leading the path. Why is this important? Because the House members are the House members are the ones writing the stimulus checks. The House members are the ones writing all these letters. The House members are the ones that Jollipols in the House, all these people in the House are the ones pushing for these big stimulus checks. Now, the Senate progressives are also pushing for the stimulus checks, but it's very interesting to see where it will start and how it'll land. Make any difference for you? No, it makes no difference. Now that you understand that, it's important to understand this strange nuance that is off to the side that in a 2-sentence quote from Chuck Schumer today is just very not clear. The 2-sentence quote from Chuck Schumer, when paired with the press secretary's statement and Nancy Pelosi's statement, is that the 2 paths will be voted on at the same time. What does that mean? What do you mean you're voting on them at the same time? Very unclear how you vote on 2 different bills at the same time. That the recon and the bipartisan will be voted on at the same time, and that they'll both start in the Senate. Here's what I want you to know, which brings me to fake narratives. As if this process was any more complicated than it was, now it's insanely confused. Now it's insanely elaborate, and I'm trying to keep it very simple and easy for you to follow. Now it's extremely complex. You can see how the fake narratives can literally go running rampage with this. I'm going to show you how the fake narratives already are running with this. And sometimes it's in comments, sometimes it's in conservative press. They're already running the narrative that, oh, there's no climate in the bill. Well, first of all, there's no bill. Second of all, yeah, the climate is in the path. The climate's over here. The climate is not in this one. So there's already conservatives referring to just the bipartisan as the only thing happening. No. There's 2 things happening. There is the bipartisan, which is the roads and the bridges, and then the progressive stuff is over in the recon. And we already have fake narratives talking about this as if there's only one path. Nope, there's 2 paths. There's recon and bipartisan. And to make this even clearer, Schumer, Pelosi, the White House, all said today that after pooling Democrats yesterday, they had to do two paths. That if you do one path of either thing, it's going to fail. So the president does not have a deal for one path from anyone. He doesn't have a one path from the GOP or the Democrats for one thing, but according to them, but that the president does believe he can get a deal for 2 paths where the progressive policies are in recon, and the conservative policies or the clear bipartisan ideologies are over in the bipartisan agreement. All right, finally, Purple Power Push. I think this is probably the most important part of this broadcast, and I think you know why. Let's look. Do I have a graphic for this? No, I don't. I probably should have had a graphic for this one. Which group of people is now the most important people to push? We had been talking about the progressives in the House and Jalapal and all those people. You should never forget them in your push. But boy, I think you know exactly who I'm about to say you got to push right now. Every single Democratic senator. You have to absolutely push those Democratic senators because guess what? They are going to start with the recon in the Senate. And it's one thing for the House progressives to get something from the Senate and say, you know, I don't like what you did, Bernie. I don't like what you did, Elizabeth. You need to, you know. But it's better to take it on the come and make sure that Bernie and Elizabeth and all your progressives in the Senate really take care of you correctly when we start the recon now on the Senate side, not on the House side. So remember, we were always talking about the vote-a-rama going last to fix anything up that the House didn't do right. Now we're starting with the Senate on the Senate side. So you need to tag your Democratic senators ASAP. Tag your progressive senators like Sanders, like Warren. Richard Blumenthal, he was all over the news. He has a lot of strong opinions. So you want to actually get him in your corner. And your Ron Wydens as well. And with that, thank you for joining me on a big day. Right after this video, we go right into overnight's crypto. That starts 7 seconds after this video is over. Tomorrow is going to be a big day because I know this is a lot to digest. And in the scope of today's broadcast, Noontime had the first breaking details of this. Actually, Morning's Crypto had the first breaking details of this. Noontime had more details of it, but I lost the camera feed, so it was a little bit technically impaired, that broadcast. This is the first broadcast because Afternoons LA was early taped today. But tomorrow's early mornings will have more as well. And with that, stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful evening. Stay with this video in 7 seconds from now. Overnight's crypto starts. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video. 2,000-3,000 likes. It also delivers a nice vinaigrette salad. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA.